Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. Welcome to my first ever video on Farming Simulator 22. I'm going to be doing a try to own the map on Westby, Wisconsin here. And key with that as well, it's going to be all equipment based on our real life farm. So I'm starting out here with the small collection of fields of 67, 68, 81 through 85, just because it equals roughly the same amount of acres that we have in real life. So we're starting out here with a 86 F350 with a 460 big block in it. Then go over here to our skid steer. I went with a John Deere 90 because in real life we have an L185 New Holland, and I have yet to be able to find a mod for that. And the only mods I have, or the only options I really had, was the newer New Hollands, the Kubotas from the Kubota pack, these two cases, the two cats, or we got the John Deere 90, the Massey 711, or these other two New Holland skid steers, which are both newer than our current model we have in real life. So after that, we also have a 3020 John Deere, similar to ours in real life, except for this one is a synchro and it doesn't have the side console for the hydraulics. This one's all done on the dash. Then move on to what tractor I personally own, which is a C1155 Massey with the big 540 cubic inch V8. Of course, with this one being a brand new tractor according to Farming Simulator, it's in a lot better condition than mine is in real life. So move on to this 4230 Deere. Ours no longer has the 404 inline 6 Deere in it. We pulled a 466 out of a 7720 combine and put in it. Still has a power shift in real life, and everything else matches up with it. This is an oddball because we have a CX105 McCormick in real life, and the closest I could find to that is this MTX 100. So it's the same horsepower for this one compared to the one we have in real life, just it's slightly newer. Then another discrepancy we have is we have a Case IH 900 Cyclo Air 6-row planter, and of course the only one that is available is the 4-row version off the mod hub, or this 12-row version is like, I wanted some room to expand with the more acres we pick up. So we used to have a 4-row wide row 7,000 Deere planter, so I decided to kind of meet in the middle and get the 7,000 with the drive boxes in the 6-row, along with this 110 John Deere disc hooked on the back of the 42. We have one. We try not to use it quite as much anymore because we have a newer case, but to find a non-winged case disc is kind of a pain. Of course, a 9-bottom chisel plow. Then we have a 435 Deere baler, a 1411 New Holland disc mine, a Pottinger 4-basket. The 4-basket tedder we have in real life is, of course, a New Holland. Then we still use a roller bar rake, but the one that we have in real life is Deere, so the only ones I found that's worth using is these 258 New Hollands. Of course, a pull behind Deere sprayer. Moving on now, got a little round bale trailer, a 25-foot livestock trailer, a 1800 International. The one that we have in real life is only a single axle though, with a slightly shorter bed. Like, oh, this should be close enough. Then of course we have a 1460 International combine, and of course I can't find one without the EU markings on them, and the cab in this one is a slightly newer cab than the one we have in real life. So also have a decent auger setup here for the bins, along with a 185 New Holland manure spreader, and we are also starting out with roughly about 26 head of cows. So yeah, so it's March here currently, so we're going to see what all we can get into based on the in-game crop calendar. Oh, if I can remember where it is exactly. Oh, so we can't really plant any corn or beans right now. So I think what we're going to try to do is, got a couple of fields I know that need some tillage done to them. I believe it was 82 and 83. Yep, 82 and 83. So we're going to get in the old 1155 Massey, go up and get those worked down real quick, and yeah, get a little bit of decent tillage action here on the first episode of this new series. If you guys have any comments or suggestions, go ahead and put them down below. If you guys would like to see this done on a different map, I can move it to a different map, but I've been playing a lot of UMRV lately, so I was kind of just, well, we can do it on Westby. It might be a little bit interesting doing the map on Westby. A little bit more backstory on our farm over the years was we was milking some dairy cows up until 2018, then it just wasn't paying the bills anymore, so we had to quit doing that. And so then after that, my dad and his brother went their separate ways about farming, so it ended up being me and Dad kind of took over and did some crops and do some beef cattle, and been slowly trying to work on expanding the farm back up, because whenever we was milking, we was only milking about 60, 70 herd Holstein cows with some Jerseys mixed in there. So I'm thinking for this series, after maybe this year, next year, depending on how good our profits are and how much extra money we have, might get into getting some dairy cows in game and work on picking up a few more fields in the surrounding area. And this one will be the plan for now. Seeing, depending on how much actual tillage we're going to have to do, we might have to look into upgrading tillage tools here soon. But I think it's going to be a decent little setup for starting in the map challenge. Not getting too big, and didn't start out too awfully small with the size of equipment. Should hopefully at least turn out pretty decent. Yeah, with the current setup here, we're going to end up getting some tillage done, and then I think we're going to go ahead and get first cutting the hay done so we can have some grub for our cows and keep them happy and get them fed. Because I do have the more realism on for the cows, where they eat a lot more food and require a lot more upkeep. Because I kind of know this farm that I chose is one of the most common starting farms for on this map, but at the same time it kind of fits the current real life situation for acres and be a decent chunk of land to expand off of and keep it interesting a little bit. So I've been playing the Farming Simulator games since 2000, and Farming Simulator 2009 came out. So I've been playing for a while, just haven't really had a good enough PC to be able to record and play at the same time. For other PCs I had, it was either I could record and it'd just be crappy frame rate and this wouldn't end up being a good producing video, or it end up recording fine for a little bit, then it get heated up some and would cause a lot more issues with the game. I think here for this first day we're going to go ahead and get this bit of tillage knocked out on these 2 fields, and hopefully be able to get the first cut in hay done. I'm just hoping that McCormick in game does better than the one in real life does. I really don't care for that tractor, but it was one of those things. Dad bought it whenever my grandpa was getting out of his farming business, and my grandpa gave him the option between his CX105 McCormick or a that has a cab at least and air conditioning, or a open station 100 horse case that was also front wheel assist. That was just the issue, was it was open station at that point. Dad was farming some of the other grandpa's land while he was working on the home farm, and a lot of his extra time got spent over there working down ground after dark. And he's like, well, with the mosquitoes and everything in Ohio, that it'd be better to have a cab tractor for working after dark, and decided to go with that. I mean, it's not a bad tractor. For what we use it for, it ain't horrible. I just wish it was a little bit bigger. That's kind of part of the reason I ended up buying the Massey, because our 4230 in real life is seen some better days. She needs an overhaul, and one of those things that gets on the agenda then to get behind with working off the farm, that some things on the farm tend to end up taking a hit to his productivity and being able to get it done. And of course, like everything else anymore, a lot of it comes down to money too. The grain prices aren't paying enough to justify it. Kind of makes it hard to justify putting money back in the equipment. But yeah, just a little bit more about me. I'm 24 years old and currently work as a field technician for a dealership, a AGCO dealership, and it's not a bad gig. I can't complain about it. Keeps me in touch with a lot more of the modern farming techniques and all the technological advancements that's been made in the last few years. Kind of makes you jealous though a little bit whenever you go out and work on everybody's new stuff and come home and you farm with stuff from the 70s, but it also kind of makes you glad because you got more reliable mechanical stuff at home that you don't have to worry about fixing quite as much, because they don't have hardly any electronics on it besides mainly just for your lights and to start the things. Yeah, I think Westby be a pretty interesting map to do and own the map challenge on, just due to its size and how the map's actually laid out. There's going to be a lot of hay done in this series. I wanted to try to do some of it on camera and probably end up doing a lot of it off camera, unless you guys want to see a lot of hay work being done. I know that can easily get repetitive with the more land we own, or we can end up just getting rid of the strips completely and make them all into larger fields and make it a lot easier to run on. Like I said though, if you guys would rather see this done on a different map, I can always switch maps and somewhat transfer our progress over. So this is brand new fresh playthrough on this map. I just have a mod installed for starting in spring, because I always tend to enjoy starting in spring with new save games rather than starting in the fall and then partially picking which farm you want to start out on just based on what crops are available in the fields, and then kind of makes it a little bit unfair. But some rules I have in play for this series is farmland is not to be bought until during the winter time, just because it'd be unfair to go buy a field in the middle of harvest and harvest that crop to regain some of that money. This way it's kind of how it's set up in real life. Of course, with a lot of people only sell farmland and stuff in the winter time because they're still using the arable ground. Of course, unless family emergencies come up, then kids get a hold of it if their parents die, and then it gets auctioned off. But I also have another rule for this series where roll a random number generator with the numbers based on the properties that you can buy in here, and make it so those properties only come up for the option to either lease them or buy them during the winter time. This way it's not just we can choose which fields are going to come up and just buy the closest ones and go from there. This way we can kind of give us 5 or 6 options with the random number generator and see which ones we could afford, or which ones that look about the easiest based on our current size of the operation in terms of equipment. I don't want to go through and make series too boring where we got small equipment trying to farm large fields just to get by for multiple seasons in a row, because that would get extremely repetitive. But I think it's going to help keep the series a little bit more interesting if we say make it so we have only 5 or 6 properties that come up to either lease or own in the winter time. Because I also have the farmland lease mod installed to where we can actually go around, talk to the neighboring farmers and see whether they have any land up, or sorry, not neighboring farmers, but neighboring landowners, to see if they have any land they're willing to lease, or if some other people's leases are up and they're not wanting to renew them. So the one downfall about haven't played Westby, Wisconsin in a while is the fact that I don't have a silage blower mod to be able to fill the silos with, so I think a lot of what we're going to do for this first initial year is just go ahead and feed our beef cows hay. And then we decide that we're going to switch to having dairy cows, is I want to find me a nice silo blower mod to fill those silos with, because even before we quit milking, that's how we did our silage. Was we have about the same exact thing of 2 stave silos we'd fill for both haylage and end up filling with corn silage in. So I think it'll be kind of interesting to play on here. Be a nice relaxing playthrough of Westby. We're trying to work our way up and own the map on here, and might end up starting a UMRV series on the side as well with the current playthrough I was going on. So the playthrough for that map, I've kind of decided I was going to try to own the map on there as well, but the rules on it's a little bit separate. Was I gave myself about $1 million to start off with in terms of buying equipment. So I ended up buying the one starting farm on there and decided that I have a couple of different tractors on there, a 7810 Deere and then a 5488 International. That farm just picked up an 1155 Massey as well. But I decided for that one I was going to make a lot of my side income off of doing custom spraying, because we have a guy in our area who does a lot of privately goes around and sprays people's fields on the side with a New Holland sprayer. That's actually who we have do our spraying rather than the local co-op, because the local co-op sometimes takes a while for them to get out to it, and with us not having a whole lot of acres, it puts us down more on the bottom of the list to get done. But we didn't start hiring the spraying in until after we got out of milking cows. And with the way farming simulator mechanics work, it with the weeds and everything kind of makes it hard to go out and lease a spray, be able to justify going out and leasing a sprayer of that size to replicate, him coming in and spraying to just spray our few fields. But I think that's going to be one thing I might implement on this series, if you guys want to see it, is us end up buying a sprayer and doing custom spraying to help supplement our income and help us get some expansion going on a little bit quicker. Yeah, I think what we want to do is we want to try to time lapse doing the rest of this field here, getting the chisel plowing done here on this field and the other field we need done, and try to make her in a time lapse for you guys. So I'll catch up with you guys at the end of that time lapse. Alright guys, well, Dad ended up coming over and said he wanted to get some chiseling time in with the old Massey. So I guess since he came over and decided he wanted to do that, I guess we get to go cut some hay now. That's where we can get these cows fed. Agreed to at least get the first cut and hay done here in the first day or two of the playthrough. I think what we'll end up doing is we'll end up mowing this bottom piece and slowly working our way up. So I'm not real familiar with how people mow on strips and that stuff, because we don't have strips where on our farm for row crops like this. We just have it all. We're lucky enough to at least have river bottoms that we farm where it's all mostly flat. So I'm sure I'm irritating a few people who farm on strips and just not extremely familiar with how everybody does it. But currently in my mind, this is what makes the most sense, is going through on above it, and the field's just not currently planted yet, and getting at least the first cut. And of course, once the crops start growing, I can see not going around it the way we are. Get the actual mower adjusted a little bit better. Tried to adjust it before we started, but it didn't seem like it was wanting to adjust very well. Is anything you guys would like to see on this series for any more role-playing aspects of it? I'm going to try to make this about as realistic as I can make it, due to just how Farming Simulator is. You can't always be 100% realistic all of the time, but I'd like to try to make it as realistic as I can be with it. Hopefully it makes for some pretty good entertainment value, and yeah. But I think if you guys want to see us switch to dairy cows, I think what we're going to end up doing is initially starting with a nice pull behind chopper, because that's what we had, was an old 3940 Deere pull behind chopper, along with a New Holland silage chopper. The only thing that's going to be a little bit different is the silage wagon setup. I think for possibly the first year we might just play on 1-day seasons. I might end up switching it to 2 or 3 day here, considering how fast we're running out of daylight. It's already 4 o'clock on the first day. And I truthfully don't think we're going to be able to get all this hay mowed and get all the groundwork down and be able to start planting next month. Get a nice in-cab view, make sure we're not missing any bits behind us. Should make it out to be pretty nice. Be a decent first cutting of the year, since we decided we're going to cut in March. Hopefully just get us a few cuttings out of it. But yeah, if anybody has any links to a good L185 New Holland skid steer, I'd love to have them. Or if anybody has a decent New Holland small square baler with some decent, with a good bale thrower on it, and a couple of bale wagons that's throw wagons, I greatly appreciate it. It'll make this series a little bit more realistic. So I know back whenever we was milking, we'd end up throwing 10, 12,000 small square bales a day. So it'd be a nice aspect of it to have a decent small square baler on the farm. Be fun to play around with while we're still a small time operation, as you'd say. Try to get some decent role playing in there. But yeah, guys, like I said, trying to make it as realistic as I can for at least the first year or two with what we have, and of course, the more land we own, the more of the upgrade equipment. But I figured it'd be a nice, interesting point to start out with for this series, is start with equipment we own in real life. I think if I do any more own the map playthroughs in the future, I think that's what I might end up doing, is just have it all based on our real life equipment. Might end up changing a few things every now and then, or might end up just doing very few on the maps. I mean, it's not taking us very long to get this hayfield here cut. Granted, it's also not a very big strip by any means, but at least give us some hay for the cows here. It'll be nice, a couple in-game years, we'll end up owning that big-time dairy operation over there and have all of our milking cows over there. Just use this barn we currently have, just a heifer barn or calf barn or something then. Have a nice setup then, for sure. I think once it gets too dark here, I don't think I'm going to try to record this video in the dark. It makes it a little bit harder trying to make sure you guys can see everything with the darkness. And sometimes lights are okay in this game, sometimes they're not. But yeah, I'm hoping this makes for a pretty good playthrough for you guys to watch. Hopefully it don't end up getting too boring or repetitive. So you guys have to let me know if the mic quality is okay for you or need to tweak a few things on the mic. I did about 2 hours of testing before this and I think I have it decently set up fine. Ended up buying a Blue Yeti mic from Walmart a couple weeks back. I don't think the audio is that bad, but I'm also not a technology wizard whenever it comes to audio and visual effects. I mean, it don't seem like it's a bad mic. Could also just be the fact that I'm using OBS to record this video with. That could be throwing off the audio a little bit. Kind of got a little bit excited whenever I downloaded it to be able to record a video and try it out and see, so might have to tweak around in there some during editing or see if I can help out with the audio a little bit. Yeah, it's always kind of frustrating whenever Courseplay doesn't want to act correctly and wants to throw some fits. But for the most part, it tends to seem like it wants to run fine. Kind of nice to be able to see him out there running in the distance. Makes for a nice scenic view. But yeah, judging by how long we're going to take with this, I think we're going to end up bumping up the days per season. I think we're going to try to run 4-day seasons possibly. Make it so each in-game day is about a week of a month or so. See, if you guys want to see a playthrough of some different time periods, starting out, well, you see we can start out with an initial farm during a certain time period and work our way up through generation, expanding on the farm and upgrading equipment throughout the time. I could always do that too. Be for a pretty interesting playthrough, I guess. Well guys, we at least got that field mowed, so I think what I want to do is go back and grab the 30-20 and the tedder and get this tedded, so hopefully it has some time to dry out this evening still, and first part of tomorrow might be dry enough hopefully to mow tomorrow. Not mow, but bale it up tomorrow to get fed into the cows. Yeah, I really want to use the 1155 Massey to be able to but run that chisel, but it seems like it just keeps running into more and more issues than it's worth, honestly. Seems like every time we go to do something else, he ends up getting blocked by an object again. I have to go out and see what's happening again. I think that's what we're going to end up doing is copying this course over and just have him unhook off of the chisel and go grab the old 4230 and bring it up here to put on the chisel. I think trying to run the Massey on the chisel is going to be a little bit more hassle than it's worth, honestly. We can always just keep mowing hay with the Massey starting tomorrow. Yeah, I mean, it's a really nice interior they have it programmed into this Massey. I think it's just having some issues with collisions with Courseplay. I got it from King Mods, where I got it from, and I was reading down through the comments on it on the 2700 series Masseys with the V8s in them, and comment on there saying it wasn't working well with Courseplay, and the guy who posted on there is like, well, he goes, I don't ever use Courseplay, so he goes, I'm not going to bother fixing it. Which I can understand from the modder's perspective of, well, I don't use it. And it's not like it's a very popular tractor, honestly. But I think what we're going to do here is we're going to get the Massey and the 4230 switched around and get the 4230 on the chisel plow. I believe it should be able to handle it. Might just run a little bit slower than the Massey was, but should at least be able to handle it, I believe. This way, hopefully, at least, then we can get this field done tonight, so we can get tractors hooked back up, get the 4230 hooked back up to the disc then tomorrow, and get some discing done. Might be able to tomorrow be able to get the old McCormick and the planter out in the field getting our corn planted for the year. I think our plans for this year is we're going to do corn and beans for this year. Then once we get the beans off, I think we're going to end up doing a little bit of winter wheat. Give us a little bit of extra crop to sell, and then allow us to have some straw for bedding for the cows. Love to see here where the chisel at for sure. So this is the setup that we ran before we got the Massey. Had the 4230 on the old chisel plow and run her that way. kind of made it nice since our 4230 had a 466 in it, so to only make it fair for the comparison, since ours is pushing about 200 horse, and of course the in-game, or this modded one, only has 100 horse. Installed the mod that's supposed to double the horsepower of the tractor for sure. Because I tried to edit the XML files before and make it so that the tractor had the 200 horse the ours had in real life, and it still truthfully did not end up very well, honestly. That was a failed experiment, and honestly I think it made it a little bit worse. Go ahead here and get the old tedder unfolded here, and get the old cruise control set here. Tedder set up. There we go. Okay. So guys, it's been a while since I played Westby. I did not realize I had an older version of Westby on my previous computer that didn't allow for the selections like that. So it's a little bit confusing for me. I always love running the old 3020 in real life. It makes such a nice makes such a nice tractor to move around bales, and Ted and Ray K with it having the narrow front on it, you can turn it on yourself pretty nice and sharp. I have broken the tricycle front end though off one of them. Wasn't solely my fault. Dad and his brother had sat there and started the process a while ago, and I just ended up finishing it one day, moving around bales. So if you guys want a story time on that, I can tell you a nice little story about that incident. But yeah, I think what we're going to end up doing here is get this field tedded before we quit recording for the night here, and finish up getting the chiseling done off camera and get everything hooked up and ready to get it to go for tomorrow, so we can get some disking done tomorrow, get the rest of these fields ready to plant. And moving into April, I think I'm going to get the days switched over and play on. I think we're going to keep playing on 5 times speed and just add a few more days on this way, get a decent passage of time. This way we're always not playing the same time frame. So I think probably what I'll end up doing is making each video roughly a day long until we get into the winter time, probably. Because winter time's always the worst, because you ain't got a whole lot to do. I'm not a big fan of pushing snow all the time in the winter. That tricycle front end's so nice to be able to whip back in on yourself, especially for doing stuff like this. Because today's Saturday night, I think I'm going to try to get this video edited tonight and hopefully have it out tomorrow on Sunday. Hopefully I'm able to edit it pretty easily. Don't have very much experience with editing videos, and not exactly wanting to pay somebody to edit it, but I also don't want to just post a video without any editing and make it for a pretty boring video per se. If there's any equipment you guys would like to see in the series, we can always work towards getting that kind of equipment. like I said, I might end up trying to do another series at the same time as this, to kind of keep things fresh a little bit, because I know this series probably won't be pretty long and repetitive. On my personal playthrough save of UMRV, I've been, I said about going through and having the custom spraying operation and farming on the side for that own the map ordeal. I don't know if I'm ever going to go through and actually own the whole entire map, but I thought about for that one just kind of trying to own the map and incorporate a lot more mechanics in the game, like beef cow. Thought about having some pig barns in that one, a couple of sheep farms possibly, maybe setting up some production plants in the town. Thought about doing some forestry on that one too, make it a well-rounded playthrough. So, or if you guys end up like seeing a row crop ready map, get it worked into the play, and play with the row crop ready stuff, we can always work on that as well. I think with what we started here is going to make for a decent start to this map. Not too big of equipment, and not too small. Yeah, guys, here after finish up this last pass of running the tedder over the grass to turn it into hay, we're going to end the video here for the night and pick up whenever day turns over and it turns into April. Well, guys, we got Ted and all finished up, so I'm going to go ahead and end the episode here, and hope you guys enjoyed, and don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Any little bit of that I'd greatly appreciate. So I will talk to you guys later.